Hi everyone, welcome to the Adapt series where we have conversations on business continuity during these troubled times. I'm your host, Sanjana Balaraman, and today I'm going to be talking to Elisabeth Powell, a senior manager in product marketing at GetGuru. With how quickly the transition to remote work happened for a lot of organizations out there, workers were often left confused on how their organization was going to handle messaging around the crisis. For this, knowledge management systems, especially for internal teams, became crucial, and that's what Elisabeth is here to talk to us about today. I learned a lot from her during our conversation, and I'm sure that you will as well. Let's dive in. So, hi Elizabeth, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. How is the situation treating you, pretty much?
It's going all right. All adjusting to this weird new normal, but I've been trying to get outside for walks a little bit as I can.
Yeah.
And luckily I'm at home with my roommates who are amazing. And my team has been super supportive. So all things considered, I feel like things are going all right. How about you? How are
Yeah.
you dealing with everything?
Um, it's been an interesting experience, definitely. It feels like you need a whole new set of skills to deal with working from home.
Totally.
Um, but yeah, we're all learning as we go, and obviously that's a little bit of what we're trying to do with this video as well.
Totally.
Um, I mean, to kick things off, I think an important question is, what do you believe? Um, what is the role you believe knowledge management plays in making remote work easier?
Totally. I think two things that, and we actually have done some surveys with our customers to learn sort of how this transition has been for them and
Mhm.
where they are challenged the most. And then from my own experience, I think collaboration and communication are two of the most important and most challenging things, particularly when you're working from home. And a knowledge management tool can really help simplify that. So if you think about, usually when you're working, and I'm focused mostly on empowering our customer support teams.
Mhm.
But usually when you're working and you have a question, you can just turn to your colleague next to you, tap them on the shoulder, get the answer. You can't do that in a virtual context. And so when it does happen in a virtual context, it's a lot of DMs, Slack is kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
And when people don't have the information they need right at their fingertips, they're forced to turn to their teammates. You know what it's like working from home. You already have so many distractions to also have so many people pinging you. It can be really overwhelming and really hard to get anything done. So the right kind of knowledge management tool will ensure that you actually have all of that information you need right at your fingertips. And I think what's really cool and what's made our transition a lot easier is that with Guru, we have this a trust score and a verification functionality. So not only do you have the information right at your fingertips, but you know it's up to date. And I think that that's another thing we see that's a challenge
Yeah,
is
yeah,
you might have something in some Google Doc somewhere, but you're not sure if it's accurate, especially with things changing as quickly as they are. So with this, with the right knowledge management tool, you can have the confidence that the information you're looking at is accurate. So I think that's really important. And the other thing I'll say is, um, you know, knowledge is really a team sport. It's deeply cross-functional. Our customer support teams that are using our product are they're using information from marketing, from legal, from product. And so to have one place where all of these different cross-functional teams can communicate and input knowledge, that saves all of those DMs and all of those pings and all of the, hey, it's me again. Sorry to bother
yeah.
you.
Also,
Um,
time, right? Like you spend so
totally.
much time waiting for an answer.
Totally. Yes. Especially now that a lot of teams are dealing with so many different time zones.
Yeah.
It can be really tough if you're trying to help a customer, but you need information from your product manager who's, I don't know, in Europe and waiting the next day for that. So totally. Time is a huge factor here.
Cool. So, how is your organization dealing with the transition to remote work? Have you already worked remotely before, or
Mhm.
is it kind of the first time for you?
So it's been pretty interesting, actually. We, in general, Guru, I feel very privileged to be a part of the organization, extremely values driven and extremely focused on the humans in the organization and making sure everyone is set up for success. So we've had a pretty generous, flexible work from home policy in the past. That said, we have our main office is in Philadelphia, and then we have a smaller office in San Francisco. Most people go into the office most days of the week. If you need to stay home for, an IKEA delivery that still for some reason has a 9-hour window, I don't understand, you can. And I actually, being in San Francisco, my team is in Philly, so I work from home a good bit. But what's been really neat, I think, is seeing actually how surprisingly smooth the transition has been for us to be fully remote. And I actually think a really critical piece in that has been Guru, Slack, and Asana. Those three tools for us. We were actually already kind of set up to have all of the tools and resources we needed at our fingertips, especially with Guru. And so it didn't really matter where in the world we were working to do that. Of course, there's the other piece that I think everyone in their own way is coping with it, which is just this kind of work from home is different than work from home before. Like now, you might have roommates or kids or, your partner who's
it's not working from home just by yourself. It's everyone working from home.
Yes. Working from home and also trying to cope with all of these other anxieties and uncertainties in the news. There's a lot going on that's beyond just, do you have the tools and resources you need to be able to do your job from home? But I will say, I think that we have the software and the tools that have made it pretty smooth, the transition. And then we also God bless him, our IT guy, Tag, he's amazing. Like inevitably, like half the people's Wi-Fi isn't working, he problem solves. And so like those pieces have been definitely an adjustment, but I think that we've really been set up for success with IT support and then also the tools that we have.
I think everyone has a new level of appreciation for their IT teams after all this.
Totally. Yeah. I'm definitely sending him like a cake or something.
Yeah. I know that Guru has set up some resources for businesses during the crisis. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Of course. Yeah. We're super committed to making this as painless and seamless as possible for customers and for folks who don't already have Guru. This is hard for everyone. And so one really cool thing that we've done recently is we've created an entirely free version of our product. We know that it's really hard right now to make any case for an investment. Companies are trying to figure out their finances. There's so much uncertainty. And so we really didn't want that to be a blocker in terms of teams being able to really be set up to have what they need to work from home and make this process a bit less painful and stressful. Yeah. So I think that the free version of our product is just an incredible, to me, like an awesome gift to anyone who needs it. And a really cool way to try Guru out and see if it works for them. And then we also have created, so as part of our knowledge management platform, we have a functionality called templates. And we've created a library of templates. Basically, information lives in card form on Guru. And so these templates can be used by any team. And actually, if you just go onto our blog, you can download all of them. But kind of like a library of templates specifically focused on work from home. So like policies your team needs to know. There's some tips around like this sort of emotional, psychological side of all of this. So like mental health and well-being, we have some tips and tricks. And so that kind of thing we've created for anyone who wants to use it. And then we also have some customers that are incredible customers who have actually been fully distributed for years. So one example is Shopify since 2014. I think they have like over 2,000 support team members using Guru, fully distributed. And, Shopify has built an incredible business with huge amount of customer love. And so we've pulled some tips and tricks from some of those customers, and those are publicly available so that teams can learn as they make the transition from, kind of the scar tissue and best practices of companies that are already fully distributed. So those are some examples of what we're doing for other businesses. But I think what's important to remember is we want to help in any way we can. So this is a small thing, but something I think is really, really cool is our outbound sales team. We're not asking to schedule calls because honestly, it feels a bit tone deaf right now. But what we are doing is offering up $25 to be donated to someone's small business of choice, which I think is really neat and speaks to the fact that, yes, we're a business, we're trying to make money, but we really care about the people that we serve. So yeah, those are a couple of the things that we have up our sleeves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even the fact that you agreed to take part in this project, which is again educating people and hopefully putting information out there that's going to be useful. So that's pretty cool as well. I think the last question I have is, what are some tips that you would give companies who are putting together a knowledge base for the first time right now?
Totally. All right, so I have a couple. So first of all, I would say be brief. You shouldn't have long form articles because frankly, it's a clunky experience for any of the users. It should be bite-sized knowledge. So for us, it lives in cards, but almost think about if a friend texted you a question, like how would you text respond to them? It should be that brief because that's really how we consume now. So think bite-sized. It'll be easier to find and use. Another thing is when in doubt, create a card on it or create a knowledge article on it. Right now, all of those little informal conversations and one-off questions that usually you would just answer, I don't know, in the kitchen or break room or whatever, those aren't getting captured right now. And so it's really important that all knowledge is getting shared. Everyone deserves to have access to the same information. And so when in doubt, just create the article. Worst thing that happens is it's not useful, but that won't be a problem. It's way better to have created it than to have the same question being asked multiple times. Another thing that's super important, and I mentioned before, we have the trust score and the verification functionality, but make sure that the information in your knowledge base is trusted. In a remote world, especially, this is absolutely critical. If your information and knowledge in your knowledge base is easy to find, but the users don't have confidence that it's accurate, it doesn't really matter. They're still going to ping you. It's still going to take longer for the end customer if they're a customer support team. So making sure that it's trusted and up to date is critical. I think another thing is, and I touched on this before, creating some kind of remote work resources for your team, especially right now with things changing as fast as they are. You can create one sort of overview card, and we have examples of this on our blog, and also if anyone wants to reach out, I'd be happy to share. But it's kind of an overview card or article that links to all the key resources for your team during this crisis time. And that will save a lot of questions for your people team as well. And then something else, this is kind of guru specific, but I think it's really important, especially right now, and kind of goes with the theme of ensuring that your team has all the most up-to-date information right at their fingertips. So we have something called knowledge alerts, which is really cool, particularly for leadership and management. You can send out, so if you create a new card, new information, critical that your team sees it, you can send out a knowledge alert, which allows you to track who's seen it because they have to check off that they have seen that piece of content. So then you have you don't have to be like checking to make sure everyone did what they were supposed to do, but you have the data, so you know that your team has seen it, absorbed it, which I think is really neat. And then two more things. So one thing that we've seen is really successful is with the rollout of a new knowledge base to get adoption. And a knowledge base is only useful if people are using it. So pairing the rollout of a knowledge base with some kind of remote town hall, we call it, but some kind of full team thing coming from leadership, talking about this new tool that you're rolling out, why it's important and how it's going to help. I think that can be really, really helpful in terms of buy-in and adoption. And then last thing I'll say, this isn't really about rolling out a knowledge base, but I think it's just super important to bear in mind right now. And it's something that I'm grateful that Guru is focused on, is take care of yourself and take care of your colleagues right now. Like, we're all humans, and yeah, we're employees and we're workers, but we also have a lot going on and everyone's coping in their own ways. So something that my team does, which is really awesome, is we just have a daily stand up, and it's nice to see people's faces. And we don't even really usually talk about work stuff, but we do a 1 to 5 personal and 1 to 5 professional. So how well we're doing and kind of why. And then we've been doing last week, it was like little workouts or something, 5-minute workouts. I did a dance cardio class for my team. And then the week before we did little like mind teaser games. But those little check-ins and seeing each other as humans and morale boosts, I think, are more important than ever during this time.
Definitely. Those sometimes those are the moments you get to see other people, especially the people you work with.
Totally.
A lot of people are probably used to seeing every day.
Completely.
So, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for the video.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I learned a lot, so I'm sure everyone else would have as well. But yeah, it was great. It was great having you on here.
You too. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. And again, you can just reach out to me, anyone who's seeing this and wants to learn more via LinkedIn or email. So yeah, thank you so much.